Welcome to Zenith History. In today's episode, we're diving into an epic comparison between two of history's most iconic warriors, the samurai of Japan and the knights of medieval Europe. Both of these legendary fighters have been romanticized in history and pop culture. But who would truly come out on top if these warriors ever faced off? The samurai, with their unmatched discipline and mastery of the katana, or the knight, with their heavy armor, chivalry, and devastating swordsmanship. It's time to put these warriors head-to-head and find out who was the ultimate warrior. First, let's start with the samurai. The samurai class emerged in Japan around the 10th century, reaching their peak during the feudal period. They weren't just warriors, they were members of a highly disciplined and cultured elite. Samurai followed a strict code of honor known as Bushido, meaning the way of the warrior. This code emphasized loyalty, bravery, and self-discipline, shaping the samurai into not only skilled fighters but also men of deep philosophy and integrity. At the heart of a samurai's skill set was their legendary sword, the katana. The katana is renowned for its razor-sharp edge and precision. It was more than just a weapon, it was a symbol of the samurai's soul. Mastery of the katana required years of rigorous training, with samurai practicing their swordsmanship relentlessly to perfect their strikes, blocks, and techniques. But the samurai's skills didn't stop at the sword. They were also highly trained in archery, hand-to-hand combat, and the use of other weapons like the yari, spear, and naginata, polearm. On the battlefield, samurai were often mounted on horseback, using their bows to devastating effect before engaging in close combat. Their armor was designed to allow for mobility, crafted from layers of lacquered leather or metal plates, giving them flexibility and speed in combat. Samurai warfare wasn't just about brute strength, it was a highly tactical art. They practiced the art of kenjutsu, the technique of the sword, but also trained in aiaido, the quick-draw technique that allowed them to strike swiftly and decisively. Samurai approached combat with a philosophical mindset, often considering it a form of meditation. Life and death were ever present in the life of a samurai, and many believed that dying honorably in battle was preferable to living in disgrace. Now let's turn to the knights of medieval Europe. Knights emerged during the early Middle Ages, serving as heavily armored cavalry for their lords in exchange for land and titles. They followed the code of chivalry, which, like the samurai's Bushido, emphasized honor, loyalty, and bravery. Knights were trained from a young age in the art of war, learning to fight with swords, lances, and shields while wearing some of the heaviest armor in history. Full plate armor, which became common in the 14th and 15th centuries, provided knights with exceptional protection. Made from steel plates, this armor was nearly impervious to slashing attacks and offered excellent defense against arrows and blunt force. While knights are often depicted as slow and cumbersome due to their armor, this wasn't entirely true. Well-trained knights were highly skilled in mounted combat, using their war horses to charge into battle with tremendous force. The lance was their primary weapon during these charges, capable of breaking through enemy lines and delivering powerful, crushing blows. Once dismounted, knights would rely on their longswords, which could be used for both slashing and thrusting. The sword and shield combination was a hallmark of knightly combat, offering both offensive and defensive capabilities. One of the knight's greatest strengths was his ability to fight in formation. Medieval European battles often relied on highly organized units, with knights forming the backbone of these armies. Their training in group tactics, combined with their discipline and powerful armor, made knights a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. The development of castle fortifications and siege warfare also meant that knights were often at the center of medieval military strategy, defending or attacking key strongholds. But the differences between the samurai and the knight go beyond their weapons and armor. Culturally, the samurai and the knight were shaped by very different philosophies. While both followed a code of honor, the samurai's Bushido emphasized a more personal, internal sense of duty to one's master and oneself. A samurai's loyalty was absolute, and they were expected to give their life without hesitation if it meant protecting their honor. The concept of seppuku, or ritual suicide, was part of this code. Dying by one's own hand was seen as a way to restore lost honor. Knights, on the other hand, were bound by the concept of chivalry, which was more outward-facing. Their duty was not just to their lord, but also to the church and society at large. The knight was seen as a protector of the weak and defender of the faith. While knights could also die for honor, their code was more about service to others, particularly the protection of Christendom. So how would these two iconic warriors fare in battle against each other? Let's start by considering the samurai's strengths. The samurai's katana, with its incredible sharpness and speed, would allow for quick, precise strikes. Their lighter, more flexible armor would give them greater mobility, allowing them to evade the slower, more heavily armored knight. The samurai's experience in archery would also give them a ranged advantage, with the potential to strike from a distance before closing in for combat. On the other hand, the knight's armor provided unparalleled protection. The full plate armor worn by knights could withstand most slashing attacks, including those from a katana. The knight's sword, heavier and designed for both slashing and thrusting, could deal devastating blows in close combat. Additionally, the knight's training in mounted combat would give him an edge in mobility on horseback, with the lance serving as a powerful weapon for charges. In a one-on-one duel, it would likely come down to a battle of endurance and tactics. The samurai's agility and precision could give them an early advantage, allowing them to land quick strikes. However, the knight's heavy armor and endurance would enable him to withstand these initial attacks and potentially wear down the samurai over time. If the knight could close the distance and engage the samurai in a prolonged fight, his armor and longsword might give him the upper hand. Of course, this is all speculative, as these two warriors never actually faced each other in history. But it's fascinating to imagine how their different training, weapons, and strategies would play out in a direct confrontation. So, who was the ultimate warrior? The answer depends on how you define ultimate. The samurai's discipline, speed, and mastery of the katana make them a formidable warrior, while the knight's armor, strength, and battlefield tactics made them nearly unstoppable in their time. Ultimately, both warriors were products of their unique cultures, and each excelled in their own way. What do you think? Who would win in a duel between a samurai and a knight? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into history's greatest warriors, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Zenith History for more epic historical comparisons. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.